the EVH Wolfgang. It's one of Eddie Van Halen's most popular guitar designs, and today I'm going to be rebuilding two of them. Both of these are going to be influenced by custom color Frankenstrats that I painted in the past. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified for whenever I drop a new video. This is Trash to Thrash. For more than 20 years, I've been obsessed with guitars. From playing them, to working on them, to buying and collecting them, I've built quite the collection of awesome custom guitars. This season, I'll be rebuilding guitars sent in by fans of the show. I'll be rebuilding 14 guitars over 14 weeks, each with a unique and interesting backstory. I'll be refinishing, refretting, rewiring, whatever it takes to make these things into the guitars of their dreams. This is Trash to Thrash. Hello everybody, welcome back to Trash to Thrash. I'm your host Mark Murray, and today I'm going to be rebuilding two EVH Wolfgang standards. I love these guitars. I've had a bunch of them in my collection. I've rebuilt a lot of them for customers, and today I'm going to be doing two of them that are influenced by Frankenstrats that I've already done. Two of my favorite Frankenstrats that I've refinished were the Stealth Frankenstrat and the Blue to Purple Burst Frankenstrat that I did. I recently went crazy on eBay and Reverb and I bought 5 Wolfgangs, so over the next couple months you're going to see a bunch of Wolfgangs come through the Guitar Guts shop. This is the first two of them. If you've been following my Instagram page at Guitar Guts, you've probably already seen these guitars, but now you're going to get to see how they were built. Both of these guitars are non-commissioned shop builds, so I bought these Wolfgangs, painted them up how I would want them, and then threw them out there on the market. Since then, they've already both sold, but I do have one other EVH influenced guitar that's ready to ship today that I'll show you guys in just a little bit. Now, many of you already know, but Eddie Van Halen is the reason I started playing guitar in the first place. I saw him playing and heard his playing, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing and hearing. Then, when I got into guitar modding, he was my main influence. I had never seen anybody with as cool of signature guitars as Eddie Van Halen. So he's been an influence to me since the very beginning. It's been over a year since Eddie Van Halen's passing, and his memory is living on strong through all the tributes we do. Keep playing his songs, keep playing his music, keep building your tributes to him, and we gotta keep sharing his music with people because that's how it lives on. Later in the episode, I'll be telling you guys a little bit about some of the giveaways I got going on. We're going to be adding some pickups into the giveaway pot. Now, before we jump into the episode, I want to let you guys know that there's a new $1 a month tier over on the Patreon page. If you're sick of watching the YouTube ads on all these videos and you want to help support Guitar Guts and Trash to Thrash, click the link down below or head over to patreon.com/guitarguts and you can sign up to the new $1 supporter tier. It's just $1 a month, but it gives you ad-free versions of all my videos that I put out and voting power to choose what Patreon exclusive content will be coming out. That's right, as patrons, I do Patreon exclusive videos, and you guys get to choose what kind of videos I'm doing. One of the next ones up is going to be soldering tips, so be on the lookout for that. Now let's get into the guitar building, starting with the first Wolfgang. That'll be the Blue and Purple Burst Wolfgang. This is how the guitar came in to me. It was actually like new condition, and I actually really liked this one. I considered keeping it, of course, but that is not why I bought it, so to remove all temptation, it's first on the chopping block. It features a real nice, subtle quilt maple top and a natural wood binding, black chrome hardware, and most of the time it just looks black with a binding, but when you shine some good light on it, you can see the wood grain come through. Super classy looking, and it has a real light maple neck. As beautiful as this guitar is, it's time to hand it off to my assistant Ryan, who's going to disassemble the whole guitar, package up the parts for us and organize them, and then sand it down. To get a guitar from a nice paint job that's already finished, down to something prepped so we can paint over it, really all you need to do is sand it with some 600 grit sandpaper. You need to sand the entire surface, all the sides, and anywhere you want paint to stick to. Paint will not stick to finished paint from a factory. If you just try to paint over your guitar without doing any sanding, the paint's never going to stick and you'll just be able to scratch it off with your fingernail. If you want that paint to stick, you're going to have to create a scratched up surface for it to grip to. But you don't need to bring it all the way back down to wood. After giving it a good sanding like this, the new paint will have no problem creating a mechanical bond with this surface. Really all you need to do is sand it with some 600 grit sandpaper. You could also sand it by hand if you wanted to, but since we do so many guitars, it would take way too much time to sand them all, so we use a palm sander. It was such a nice day that day that I decided to spray this one outside. That and the fact that I was spraying 4 guitars at the same time. So the spray booth was full, and I painted a couple of them outside in my covered side area. After letting the body dry for a couple weeks, it's ready to stripe it up with some tape, so I can paint it and get that striped tape look. I'm going to copy the stripe pattern on my original purple to blue burst Frankenstrat, so I brought it out as a model to copy straight off. For this guitar, I used 3/4 inch Scotch green tape, 1/4 inch Scotch green tape, and 3/16 inch blue pinstriping tape. On the original purple to blue burst, I don't think I used 3/16, but the thickness of the Wolfgang, it's a little wider, so I like to use a little bit thicker tape sometimes. And now into the paint booth we go. I'm going to use the exact same colors I used on my Frankenstrat that I did like this. So I'm going to start with the darker purple. When I spray a guitar, I always start with the cutaways and the heel, then I do the sides and the bottom, then I do the back, and I finish with the front. Now that's the first base coat, and I'm just doing purple for that one. The next coat, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Another solid coat of just purple. I'm also spraying the headstock as I go, so each time I spray purple on the body, I'm also doing that to the headstock. I got good coverage with the 2 coats of purple, so now I'm going to move on to the blue and start the burst. Since I use spray paint cans, sometimes I'll need to go back and forth with blue and purple and blend them together. So although it looks pretty good here, I did come back with the purple and cut the edges back in. Then same with the headstock, I came back, added some blue, and cut the edges back in with purple. It can be difficult to get a good burst with spray paint, but if you have good technique and a lot of practice, you can get some great results. Now it's been another week and the paint has dried, so the next step before we can spray some clear coat is to put the logo on the headstock. I have a vinyl cutting machine, so I make my own logos, and for this one, I went with a black logo. It's going to match the stripes and really give it an awesome custom look. Now we return to the spray booth and we start adding on some clear coat. Lately, I've been getting really good results using SprayMax 2K in a can. They make an amazing clear coat, and you're going to see at the end of this video how good this one turned out. But to get really good results on a paint job like this, since it has multiple colors and taped stripes that are at a different depth than the blue and purple, it's going to need a ton of clear to get a perfectly flat, mirror glass-like finish. So for this guitar, I'm actually going to spray on an entire can, which is about 6 coats of paint. I'm applying them about every 10 minutes. It's about 70 degrees outside, so it's like perfect for painting. You can see the texture of the headstock here because I actually sanded the headstock and the body before applying the clear. To get a good bond over the old paint since it's been about a week, you have to scuff it up with some 600 grit sandpaper. That may sound insane to some of you, to sand and scratch your beautiful paint job before doing the clear coat, but the clear coat will actually come in and fill in all those scratches and make an amazing finish. Now I sprayed a full can on this guitar, but about a week later, I sanded it back down again with 600 grit sandpaper. So all that clear you just saw me spraying, I scuffed it all back up and got it ready for even more clear. Like I was saying, if you want to get a real flat finish that looks like a mirror, we need to get all these paint levels even, which means the black paint has to have a couple extra coats more than the blue and purple so that it can be sanded back down even and flat. Now that is what I'm talking about. Look how beautiful that looks. This is about a week later after the second session of clear coat. 2 full cans, about 12 coats total, and you can see there's still a little bit of texture here, so what I'm going to do is give it a level sanding. Now let's talk sandpaper. Here I'm going to be using Super Acelix by Eagle Abrasives, and if you're using cheap sandpaper to sand your guitars, you're making a huge mistake. This stuff is the best. You can pick it up in these assorted packs if you want that have 600, 800, and 1200 grit sandpaper, and it creates a really smooth scratch pattern. It includes an interface pad, and they also make this yellow grip that I got that's perfect for it. They're not a sponsor of the show, but I heard about them through Chris at Highline Guitars, and this sandpaper is truly a game changer. The clear coat came out crystal clear and thick, but has some wavy texture to it. So starting with 600 grit sandpaper, I'm going to now level sand all of the clear coat. This sandpaper cuts really fast but creates a shallow scratch pattern, so when I move on to my next grits of sandpaper to start polishing it, it should require less work with each step. You'll notice I've done almost the whole top, and as I flip the sandpaper over, you can see there's almost no buildup on it. The way this sandpaper works is very unique. Now it may look like the whole top is sanded down and level, but after wiping off the dust, you can see these glossy black spots on the edges of the stripes. Some places it's gone, but some places you can still see the glossy spots, and those are low spots. If you look close in this hole where the tone potentiometer was, you can see how thick the clear coat really is. It's thick. We still have a lot we can keep sanding through. So I'll keep sanding until those glossy spots are gone, and that means they're even with the rest of the finish. Now all those spots are gone. I don't feel any high spots or low spots where the stripes are, and the back is ready too. So now we'll move on to the next grit of sandpaper. We just did 600, and now we'll move on to 800 grit. When I level it using circular motions, but here you can see I did them in a straight line horizontally across the body. This is another trick I learned from Chris at Highline Guitars. If you're a guitar builder, I highly recommend you checking him out too. Now the reason I sanded it all with 800 grit, going only horizontally across the body, is because I want to make sure when I look at this guitar in the light, I only see horizontal scratches. If I still see any circular scratches, that means the scratches from 600 grit are still there. The whole point of using 800 grit is to make a finer scratch to replace the scratches left by the 600 grit. If you don't paint guitars, this sounds crazy, but this is how it's done. Now we inspect the body, make sure all the scratches are going horizontal across it, looking at it at a low angle with a light on it, and it looks good. So now we're going to move on to the next grit of sandpaper. We just finished with 800, and now we're going to move on to 1200 grit. Now for 1200 grit, we're going to sand it only vertically, like shown. We want to sand this until we only see vertical sanding scratches. If we still see any horizontal scratches, we know you can still see scratches left over by the 800 grit sandpaper, and we're trying to replace those with scratches vertically with the 1200 grit sandpaper. Now you may be wondering why we can't jump straight from 600 to 1200 grit, and you technically could. It would be a lot more work trying to remove 600 grit scratches using 1200 than it is with 800. Now we've sanded with 600, 800, and 1200 grit, and that's all this assortment pack includes. At this point, you could get away with switching straight to the polishing compounds, but it would be a lot better to keep sanding with at least one more grit. So I also have some Super Astylex 1500 grit. When I sand this grit, I'm going to go back to a horizontal sanding pattern. For this guitar, I buffed it out using a hand drill and a pad. I started with Meguiar's 105 and did 4 or 5 passes over the whole guitar. I work in small areas, kind of divide the guitar up into 6 areas or so, and after the first pass you could already start to see the shine coming through when compared to the other side. And after lots of buffing, this thing is just deep, rich, and like a mirror. Look at that deep shine. If anyone questions Spray Max 2K in a can, they just need to look at this. Next, I reattached the neck, installed the tuners, and started wiring the pickups back up. Next, I reinstalled the springs for the tremolo so the Floyd Rose can be mounted back to the front, and now it's coming together. Last thing to do is string it up, check the intonation, and then test it out. That blue and purple Wolfgang is looking so good so far, but I'm not revealing it till the end of the episode. So, I encourage you to go share this episode on your social media. Just take a picture of it right now, let people know you're watching, and tag Guitar Guts. So let's talk about the history of Eddie Van Halen's endorsement deals. In 1982, he struck an endorsement deal with Kramer, creating the 5150s using a Beretta body, and those lasted from 1982 up until 1991. In 1991, he parted ways and started working with Music Man. Music Man made the first inclination of what would be the Wolfgang. It's an Eddie Van Halen signature guitar, and there was even an OLP branded licensed version that was much more affordable. Eddie worked with Music Man from 91 to 95, and then in 1996 he started working with Peavey. Together, Eddie Van Halen and Peavey created the Wolfgang, and Eddie said it was a culmination of all the ideas over the years, from the Frankenstrat, the 5150s, all his custom guitars, the Music Man, all put together into one guitar. All his ideas in one spot finally, the ultimate guitar. He stuck with Peavey until 2004 when he started working with Charvel, who was owned by Fender. They created the EVH Stripe series and eventually the EVH brand under his own name. When I was 11 years old, I had the Peavey Wolfgang trifold brochure up on my wall as a poster. It had all the different features of the guitar pointed out, and I would study this thing. I was obsessed with that guitar. I had never even played one at that age. I'd never even really seen one in real life, but I knew I had to have one. I found this sold listing on Reverb for the exact same trifold brochure. It sold for over $51. I remember there just being stacks of these brochures for free at the guitar shop. I wish I would have grabbed them all and kept them in a box. Still to this day, I've never owned a Peavey Wolfgang, but I do want one. One day I will have the green flame maple Peavey Wolfgang. To me, that is the holy grail of Wolfgangs. Isn't it beautiful? But at a price tag of over $3,500, I'm going to have to wait for now. If you're as obsessed with having a green Wolfgang as I am, though, they do make an affordable option now. Last year, they released the EVH Standard with the green quilt maple top, and that's pretty close. Although for me, not close enough. But at a price tag of $650, that's not bad. Right now, there's a few guitars for sale at guitarguts.com. One of them is this awesome OLP MM1. It's the licensed version of Eddie Van Halen's signature Music Man guitar. This guitar sounds super good, it plays amazing, and it looks awesome. I refinished it with the Frankenstrat red, black, and white finish, and then reliced it. This one still has the Strat style tremolo, so if you're not a Floyd Rose fan, this one's for you. It comes with a free gig bag, and it's available now. Check out guitarguts.com. Link is down in the description below if you're interested in buying this guitar or one of the other ones that are for sale right now. Now let's jump on into the Stealth Wolfgang. Ever since I built the first Stealth Frankenstrat, I've had a ton of requests to do more. Everybody who's come to me for this paint job so far wanted it on a Strat style body. But ever since I did this first one, I've been thinking about something else in my head. I've been planning out a Stealth Wolfgang. If you've been watching my content long enough, you know I'm a freak for gold hardware, but I was very curious to also see how this Stealth paint job would look with black nickel hardware or just black hardware. So this is going to be our donor Wolfgang for the Stealth Wolfgang. It's a metallic silver Wolfgang with black hardware and a light maple neck. As I always do, I handed this guitar off to Ryan, gave him the game plan, and he disassembled it and sanded it down. So far, it's the same basic game plan as the other EVH we just did. Now this is where things start to get a little interesting. With the neck off, I got another idea, but I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Yet again, we find ourselves in the spray booth, and this time we're putting gloss black on as the base coat for this guitar. The idea behind the Stealth paint job is to do black, put some tape on, and then spray matte. So when you pull the tape, underneath the tape is gloss black. The tricky part is getting the gloss black to lay smooth. We're not going to be able to clear coat it and level sand it and polish it, because if we did all that, then the matte paint isn't going to stick to it. Some people ask, why don't you do all the paint and then do the clear coat at the very end? But if you spray a high gloss clear coat over a matte paint job, it's going to turn it into a gloss black. So essentially it'd be an all black guitar. You'd probably still see the lines a little bit, but it wouldn't be as cool looking as this. The Stealth paint job's a little tricky, so the next step is going to be a little different than the way we do any of the other Frankenstrats. After letting the gloss black paint that we painted on a minute ago dry for about a week, I bring it outside and give it a light sanding with 600 grit sandpaper to make it real flat and level. Then I brought it back into the spray booth and sprayed a real quick coat of black over it so it'll be nice and flat but have that nice gloss to it. I mentioned a minute ago that I had an idea once I had the neck of this guitar off. Well, I've had this Wolfgang neck kicking around for a little while. It came in on a Wolfgang that was a lot darker than any of the other necks I'd ever seen, and at the time, none of my customers wanted this darker neck. So I set it off to the side, and I knew I'd use it for something. And what better guitar could I use it on than a Stealth, all blacked out Wolfgang? I know a lot of the newer Wolfgangs come with a roasted maple neck, and I don't know if this one got overbaked or if somebody tried to darken the fretboard, but it's dark, and it's perfect for this guitar. For this guitar, I did almost the exact same tape stripe pattern as I did on the purple to blue burst Wolfgang. It's a variation of the bumblebee pattern. And then it was back into the paint booth for this guitar so I could spray some matte black on it. Some of my customers prefer the headstock to just be left stock on a Wolfgang. Me personally, if I'm going to refinish the guitar's body, I want the headstock to match. There's no reason for a headstock to be a different color than the body, in my opinion. This headstock has also been painted matte black at this point, and now it's getting its logo. The logo is going to kind of blend in because we're going for the Stealth look, so it's going to be gloss black over the matte black. So far that looks clean, but we're going to need to seal it in with some clear. That'll knock the shine off the logo, but since we're going with the Stealth look, it's going to look really cool. Although this looks like it's going on super glossy, it's going to dry flat. A matte clear coat offers a protective layer over the paint and also over the logo. With time, the vinyl logo would probably peel up, but since it's going to be sealed in with clear coat, it's not coming up. Now all that's left to do is let everything dry and reassemble it. This episode of Trash to Thrash is sponsored by Lundgren pickups, everybody. I love Lundgren pickups. I use them on all my personal Frankenstrat builds. They make the Heaven 77 pickup, which is what this one is. And it sounds so much like the old Eruption style tone from the late 70s of Eddie Van Halen. I love this pickup. and I'm going to be giving this one away. Every month on my Patreon page, I host a giveaway for a guitar or some other type of large package of gifts. Well, in February, I'm going to be giving away this pickup, the Heaven 77 humbucker, along with the SoCal pedal boards, Alien Blood pedal board, and an Iron Age kill switch. And there's going to be a couple of other things added too, so keep watching every week to find out what's going to be added to the big pot. If you're building a Frankenstrat, I highly recommend the Heaven 77 pickup from Lundgren. They're made in Sweden, they're handmade. Johan and his team are amazing people to work with, great customer service, so go check them out. I'll have a link down in the description if you want to go over and check out Lundgren's website, and I'll have a link to their Instagram page. If you want to win this thing and all that other cool stuff that I mentioned a minute before, then go sign up to the CEO tier of my Patreon page. It's $10 a month to join the CEO tier, but you get ad-free versions of the videos, you get all the benefits of the other Patreon tiers, plus you're automatically entered into my monthly giveaways. Of course, there's free ways to get into the monthly giveaway, so leave a comment down below, and I'll be choosing some of the comments from episodes 30, 31, 32, and 33 of Trash to Thrash to be entered into the big giveaway. So go comment on those 4 episodes for up to 4 chances to be entered into the giveaway. Alright, now let's get back to these Wolfgangs. Guys, these things are basically complete. Are you ready for some reveals? Let's start with the first guitar we built, the Purple and Blue Burst Wolfgang. But instead of just showing you it, I want you to hear it too. I think this is my favorite Frankenstrat, or my favorite Wolfgang I've ever built. The blue and purple, purple is like one of my very favorite colors for guitars. The maple neck on it looks so clean. It's got the single volume, the Wolfgang style knob, a Tessie kill switch in blue that lights up, black chrome EVH branded Floyd Rose, and matching tuners. This thing's awesome. This is one that I would definitely keep. But we all know I have enough guitars. Plus, the whole point of building these things is so that you guys can play them. And now let's look at that Stealth Wolfgang. If it wasn't for that purple and blue Wolfgang, this would definitely be my favorite Wolfgang I've ever built. The only reason I hesitated to say the blue-purple was my favorite is because this thing's in existence. This one had a few extra upgrades, including a real Floyd Rose, a black EVH D-Tuna, a blacked out Tessie kill switch, and a Tessie volume knob with a glow-in-the-dark indicator, a blacked out pickup selector switch, a blacked out matching headstock, and some FU tone upgrades including a larger tremolo block and a set of noiseless springs. How sick is this thing? I put this guitar up for sale and it sold in about 20 minutes. As a matter of fact, 2 people actually wanted it, so I built a second one. I finished the blue and purple burst Wolfgang about 6 weeks after I finished this Stealth Wolfgang. And the craziest part of it all is the same guy bought both of them. As a matter of fact, you guys already know part of his guitar collection because he's purchased 3 Wolfgangs from me already, and they've all been highlighted on Trash to Thrash. His name is Mark G, and this is his Wolfgang collection. He's got quite the impressive collection of Wolfgangs, even I'm jealous. He's got the white and black, the red, white, and black Frankenstrat style, the Bumblebee black and yellow, the purple to blue burst with black stripes, the Guitar Guts Stealth version, the EVH Stealth version, and this blue one. And let's just say that blue one's not going to be blue for too much longer. We're already in talks. Alright guys, that's it for this week. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Be sure to hit the like button, leave your comments down below, hit the bell to be notified. Don't forget, if you want ad-free versions of this video, go over to patreon.com. All the links I'm about to talk about are down below in the description. So Patreon, there's a $1 tier called the Supporter, and you get ad-free versions of all the videos I do, plus Patreon exclusive content, and you can vote on what videos are going to be in that Patreon exclusive content. I make videos that you guys want to see over there, so go sign up to the CEO tier if you want to be entered into the giveaways. That's $10 a month, plus you get all the benefits of the $1 tier. Remember to go over to guitarguts.com and click the link at the very top if you want to buy one of the custom guitars that I've already built and have ready to ship today. There's a couple of them up there, and they are some killer guitars. Be sure to share the episode. If you haven't already done it, take a screenshot of the episode, go post it on your IG stories or something. Let your friends who play guitar know about the show. It helps out a ton, and I really appreciate it. I want to say thanks again to Lundgren Pickups for hooking us up with that Heaven 77 for the giveaway. If you're building a Frankenstrat, go get yourself a Heaven 77. The links are down below. You can click on that, go get that pickup. Huge thanks to Mark G for buying these two guitars. His collection is wild. He's got 7 Wolfgangs. I wonder how many he's going to have eventually. He was actually going to buy an Explorer from me. I told him about this Wolfgang, and then he said, scratch the Explorer, I want that blue and purple Wolfgang. So, huge thanks to Mark G. And last but not least, go subscribe to my retro gaming channel. If you guys like 80s and 90s gaming, retro stuff, then there's a link down below. You can follow me on Instagram on my gaming page and my YouTube gaming page where I do game hunting and play old video games and all kinds of fun stuff. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next week. Rock on, my friends.